wants the Senate to take swift action on another round of coronavirus relief. America is listening to Fox News.
Even in the new year, it's hard to start a new routine. But if you're one of the 34% of Americans who made a resolution to be less stressed, Headspace is here to help. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research and can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Go to headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial. This is the best deal offered right now. Headspace.com/Fox.
New Jersey is opening another mega site to distribute COVID-19 vaccines. This one in Gloucester County in the southern part of the state. But Governor Phil Murphy warns.
Just because we have the vaccines in New Jersey doesn't mean the pandemic is over, however. This pandemic will be over when we defeat this virus for good, and a significant part of that requires getting millions of our fellow New Jerseyans vaccinated.
He says the site is open to all New Jersey residents who are healthcare workers and first responders, not just in that county. Right now, the state is vaccinating just those groups. Murphy says they will gradually be opened up to all residents in the coming weeks and months. In Britain, where a more contagious variant of COVID-19 is spreading, 7 large-scale vaccination sites open today. Goldman Sachs and Google have joined the list of companies pressing pause on political donations. Earlier today, a major hotel chain made a similar announcement.
Marriott International says it will suspend donations to U.S. lawmakers who voted against certifying President-elect Joe Biden's victory last week. A Marriott spokeswoman tells Reuters the company has taken the destructive events at the Capitol to undermine a legitimate and fair election into consideration and will be pausing political giving from its Political Action Committee to those who voted against certification of the election. Citigroup says it will pause contributions as the country goes through the presidential transition and hopefully emerges from these events stronger and more united. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
More than 2 years after her death, the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, has had a...
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
A new study finds most high school graduates are woefully unprepared for high school, and a bag of flour has a slave auction on its front. This is the Onion Week in Review. This week, Secretary of Labor Thomas Perez unveiled plans to boost the nation's struggling job market by giving every unemployed American a self-serve yogurt shop, saying that the frozen yogurt business model is robust, profitable, and that they've pretty much exhausted other options. Perez explained that owners will be responsible for stocking their own topping bars with items such as Oreo crumbles, minced kiwi, cashews, and gummy bears. Estimates indicate the country will need to increase daily consumption of frozen yogurt by approximately 2.3 gallons per person in order for the new stores to remain solvent. And in this week's local news, something is apparently going on between a mom and her friend. In other news, Taco Bell warns its employees against ever exposing their skin to its food. A sad man tears 2 bananas off of a larger bunch, and a new report finds everything you've ever wanted has been right in front of you all along.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It is the Monday night edition. If you'd like to join in the conversation, our telephone number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
And I'm Ian.
And I'm Pope Nobody of the Church of the Invisible Hand.
So, just to kick things off right away, I've received several messages from folks today, and this has been, I guess I'd call it popular news amongst Liberty folk, anyway.
Popular as in spread wildly,
but
not
and very quickly.
People aren't happy about it.
Unhappy news, definitely. Ron Paul sent out a tweet earlier today with a little screenshot of, well, his own Facebook page. And he says, with no explanation other than repeatedly going against our community standards, Facebook has blocked me from managing my page. Never have we received notice of violating community standards in the past, and nowhere is the offending post identified.
I am Jack's complete lack of surprise.
Yes, indeed you are. Now, having been on Facebook for way too long myself.
You're still on there?
Yeah.
God,
of course.
bro.
Of course.
Why do you feed that monster?
Ian
used to say the same thing to me.
I actually use it. A lot of folks post news stuff. Sometimes I get show prep off of that.
Yeah. I go on once in a while. I was actually on a few minutes ago.
But that was one of my last reasons for staying on Facebook was that I get some show prep off of it. There's show prep
My
there,
other
right?
reason, too, is because, I sort of built that following from doing music. So I got a bunch of musician-type friends out there and also my parody music as well.
Right.
So some of those folks are on there, too. So
see, the thing that I would do if it was me was I would switch over to like a Telegram channel.
Yeah.
So it's like
make your own channel, right?
And put comments on it, but then set up like if TTT to then send everything you post to your Facebook page, so you're hitting them. But if they want to come talk back to you, they have to come on Telegram.
Yeah, I could be much smarter about it, but I'm not. I'm also like one of the last people to have left MySpace. So like everybody went to Facebook, and I was just kind of standing around in the MySpace world going, where is everybody?
I got MySpace about a month before
Where
it shut down.
Yeah. So, but at any rate,
I think it's still there.
Isn't
it still there? Isn't MySpace still there?
It's still there, but it's, I think, a very different character of service than it once was. Or
I think they
so
refocused.
I was told when I said we should all just go back to MySpace.
I think they refocused on bands.
Yeah, they've changed their platform completely. Yeah. It's no longer the customizable page for yourself where you can do HTML and all sorts of fun stuff.
People would learn from that, too.
I loved MySpace.
That was great.
I didn't want to go to Facebook. I thought it was a crappier platform, less customizable, less individualist.
The Free State Project made me migrate to Facebook, actually, because that's where all their stuff was.
Yeah.
And so when I moved up here,
it was,
I got hooked on it. But I didn't have a Facebook until 2009.
Yeah, I think I finally moved over in like 2006 because I think that was the year that one of my bands got to open for the Misfits. And so,
oh, wow.
And so because nobody was on MySpace anymore, I wanted to make sure I pimped that show.
I wasn't on MySpace at that point.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that, all of the folks that needed to know knew, and so that's when I started the Facebook thing, largely for the band thing, right? So we could put up our... because I was the guy in charge, right? So I was the guy putting up the events and, hey, we're going to, play a show with these guys. Or if I organize a show myself, hey, everybody, a show's going on, So that was my whole, main
Someday,
reason.
We're each going to have our own platforms and people will just go to the platforms they want to.
That would be so nice. And
that's like how the web started.
Well, that is more or less how the web started. The thing that I think will change is software will come along so that any fool can do it. And that's the only way you're going to get all the fools off Facebook is give them something else they can do, because any fool can do Facebook. And these days, it's mostly all that's left.
Now, this isn't like all of these words that Ron Paul wrote makes me believe that while he has been managing his own page, he obviously hasn't been paying attention to other people when they get a ban for whatever reason. They get put in a Facebook jail and, 30 days and, that kind of a thing.
When you say he hasn't been paying attention, what do you mean?
Well, so these words are the exact same words I've been hearing from anybody and everybody who has ever gotten banned from Facebook for any reason. Well, it says that I violated the terms and services, but it doesn't tell me which exact post violated the terms and services.
It
right?
usually has told me.
On your first ban, I don't believe it does.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. My first ban
but
was
this
a
could
long
also
time
be this
ago.
could also be different because it's him managing his page. So like he has
Or
a
is it?
personal account and then he has a page where he's a public figure.
Is it him managing his page,
That's
or does
what
he
it
have
says.
somebody?
That's what it says. It says,
yeah,
with no blah 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 blah
The
blah.
thing is, Ron Paul
Hang on,
is so kind
to answer
that
Ian's question.
I can't
hang on, nobody.
imagine that he would ever have gotten kicked off.
Ian, to answer your question, has blocked me from managing my page is his exact verbiage. So that makes me believe he was able to log in.
It's
and
being
able
written
to go
in
to
the
his
first
page.
person, so it could be him.
Right.
Yeah.
So
of course, you could say the same thing if you were managing your page by proxy. I wouldn't
That's
call
true.
him a liar if I found
No,
out.
I'm not.
he
I'm not
was.
trying to call him a liar at all.
I know you're not. I know.
imagine that he is not as technically adept as, say, you or I.
Probably true.
Quite possibly. I don't know.
Just based on his age. That's
It doesn't take
I'm
much
making an
to do
assumption.
Facebook, though. My 95-year-old parents do Facebook, and they are not technically adept.
Like, I'm calling this censorship. I'm calling all of this stuff
It is
censorship. Whether or not, a private entity has, quote, the right to do a thing, censor people, at their whim, doesn't mean they should.
Well, yeah, I mean,
if you want to start alienating your base of users, right? And I realize that when it comes to Facebook, users are not the customers. The customers are the advertisers.
Yeah. I mean, if they want to be the Commie News Network, then let them do that.
Yeah.
But I won't have any interest in their platform. The only time I go on there, and once in a while I do, is either to post something that I think might make some sheep come to their senses.
Right.
Or
I do that as well.
There are people that I've slowly I've been running an underground railroad, and I've been like, there is one guy, he's a fan of this show. I love this guy, but he's an older guy and he's not as technically adept. And
Right.
it's like, so I've been trying to get him forever. Finally, I found out he was going shooting with another guy that I knew. And I was like, install Telegram on his phone for me. And so now I'm talking to the guy on Telegram.
That's good thinking. That's smart. Yeah, so I don't know what to make of this other than, Zuckerberg, you're being a dick, really.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, they're getting ready, I think, to begin a wave of violence against the right wing, and not just the right wing, but also libertarians. Basically, the military-industrial media, social media complex.
Can you be more vague?
George Carlin's club.
Okay.
It's a great big club, but we're not in it, and we never will be.
That's true.
I don't want to be.
I don't want to be in it either. They do. Their activities are awful. They usually involve killing people.
Right.
Agreed. Any thoughts?
On what?
Ron Paul being...
On Ron Paul. Ron Paul is a hero. And, apart... my never-ending hostility to Facebook is just that much greater, and I hope to hear that soon there's a great new social media platform that we can all go to and forget that Facebook was ever there.
Yeah, hopefully necessity here is the mother of invention, and some developers start hitting the bricks real hard and develop something cool.
It belongs on the garbage heap of history.
More Free Talk Live coming up.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DiviProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DiviProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DiviProject.org. D-I-V-I Project.org.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It is Free Talk Live. It is the Monday night edition. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Lord Reverend Captain Kickass, and joining me,
it's Ian.
And nobody.
I did it. I did it. I've been trying to replace the word toll with telephone.
Yeah, see, that takes its toll.
It certainly does. It's taking a toll on me. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join the conversation. Again, 603-283-6160. We've just talked a bit about Facebook apparently censoring Ron Paul now. Yeah. And that's really unfortunate.
And this guy, I mean, Ron Paul is like a prince among men. His solution to people,
well, at least among politicians, he certainly is. Yeah.
His solution to people not having health care was, well, I'm a doctor. I'll just help him out and not send him a bill. I mean, who does that? That's wonderful.
Well, and the other thing I like about Ron Paul is that he was a doctor.
Yes.
He was something before he became a politician. He went and made a career for himself before becoming a politician.
He
Then
never
he
became a politician.
Well, he was always a doctor.
Well, by definition, if you run for a political office, you are a politician.
Right.
But
I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
he's certainly not a snake and a
amongst
slime ball.
politicians, he is a prince. But so what I like about him is that he did something. He had a career. He had a thing. He had a family. All that kind of stuff. And then he went into politics. And then so when he got done with politics, he could go back to doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whereas now we've got all these lifetimers.
Did he go back to practicing?
Well, I don't.
Medicine? I don't know.
I think he always had. Like,
he was pretty old when he
practice,
stopped, but yeah, I think he's always had a thing. I know that Rand Paul still practices medicine to some extent. Like he does an annual trip where he does free eye surgery for people in like South America or something.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's another guy. Be the change you want to be in the world. Don't pull a gun and try to make somebody else be the change you want to see in the world.
So since we're talking about all of this internet censorship that is occurring, whether it's, principled or not.
Well, it's based on principles, just bad principles, evil principles.
It seems to me, and it feels to me, and, maybe there's evidence to this, that the left is being favored when it comes to this stuff. They seem to be singling out, conservatives, the right, maybe even.
They're sort of singling out anybody who isn't a socialist or a communist, pretty much.
That's the way it seems to me. And so I have this article from FrontPageMag.com, which is a conservative website that talks about Parler and the problem of escaping internet censorship. Now, keep in mind, this is written from that perspective. But it starts with, back when Parler was first taking off, I warned that its app-based dependency meant that two companies, Apple and Google, can eliminate it anytime they like.
They missed Amazon because
they'll get to it.
It requires Amazon to get them off the web.
It was only a matter of time, says this author. The author's name, by the way, is David Greenfield. The transition from desktops to laptops to Android and iOS devices mean that users are operating in a walled garden run by two very lefty companies. Those companies can do with the garden what they please. Those users who choose to jailbreak their devices have more options, but most don't. Conservatives can try to distribute the knowledge more widely and encourage that kind of self-empowerment. But the bottom line is that most smartphone, Kindle, Chromebook, etc. users want a simple device that just works and runs all the apps in the App Store. Doing anything more complicated would be inconvenient, and thus they've established this as sort of what folks consider normal.
Well, you'll never achieve change depending on stupid people with smartphones.
That is a matter of fact. People tend to get their smartphones from one of the handful of remaining providers, e.g. the big three, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. You may think you're not using one of those companies, but even then, you're probably just using one of their branded providers or a small company that's using their services. For our listeners who don't know, this is called white labeling. When a manufacturer, it's kind of like generic food, right? You see a can of green beans on the shelf that's just labeled green beans. Well, that was probably made by the Green Giant, but they sold it to the store to reduce price for, they didn't have to produce a color label for them or whatever and that kind of a thing. And so that's a white label product.
I don't think that's a fair characterization of all of the other providers. And the reason that I say that is, for example, Straight Talk does buy their service from other providers. But because of the way they've done it, their service, and they buy it from several different providers.
Yeah.
And by doing that, they are able to provide better coverage than any one of those providers
because they can
cover,
move amongst
because they can
each of
pick
them,
and choose who's good in a particular
I
area.
was just trying to put it into lay terms for the listeners.
Well, hold on. Technically, from what I understand, having been formerly a Straight Talk user, you have to choose which provider you want at the time you purchase the phone.
No, not at all.
That's how it used to be.
Interesting.
They would have like model numbers where there'd be like a V for Verizon, and then there'd be another one. So
that may have been the case at
certain
one time,
devices,
but I've been using them for years, and they have never asked me that question. I've never had to make that choice.
Wait.
I've seen my phone going from provider to provider depending on what city I was in, because I'm the kind of weirdo who actually looks every once in a while to see all the weird technical things about his phone.
Yeah. Now, certain devices won't work on certain networks. There's two different types of cell phone.
CDMA and GSM.
GSM, thank you.
And there are others as well.
Right. So, the GSM phones have to stay on GSM-compatible networks. So we're kind of getting into the weeds. I just wanted to give our listeners sort of a layperson's term of what white labeling is. So that's what has happened with AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. They will resell to other companies. So you might think that you're not on one of those networks, but you probably are, most likely. And that means that 5 companies essentially control the mobile ecosystem and can shut down an app like Parler anytime they please. They can also, if they please, shut down access to any site access through their browsers. We had a little bit of discussion about that last night.
Although they've never actually done it,
they can.
If and when they do, there's going to be a huge backlash, I predict.
Well, they can also ban any browser from their app store or device that doesn't shut down access to these sites.
Yeah.
There are potential workarounds, and you and I kind of, have a little more knowledge of those than, say, the average person. But they do all involve escalating levels of difficulty. The more, these workarounds sometimes get pretty lengthy to accomplish. So
the solution is to have a new phone provider who provides something that is a phone that's built for the customer to control, not for the big tech to control.
And since the trend has moved away from any kind of independent agency, crippled smart devices are what's happening going forward. More Free Talk Live is coming up. Stay tuned.
Maxwell, he was a runaway to rescue, great disposition. About 9 years ago, he was scratching a lot, and he started losing some hair. My vet, she said, he must be allergic to the chicken. Another vet said, it's the grain. Third vet, she said it's the weather, something in the air. And then somebody said, DINOVITE.com. I had been listening to the Dynavite ads, hearing about different stories of different people, and it just clicked. I got my first 90-day supply, and it took a grand total of 2 weeks. And the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Dynavite is nutrition.
And Maxwell loves it. Now he's close to 10, and the Dynavite's a big part of Maxwell's diet.
Dynavite for life. You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
And he's a spectacular dog.
DINOVITE.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding.
Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Are you about to meet the media? If you're about to be interviewed, do their homework for them. Know this about the person who will interview you. He or she is busy, so expect minimal, if any, preparation. He or she doesn't know as much about your topic as you do. He or she isn't as concerned as you are about getting your message out, so you need to take responsibility. Provide a biography and fact sheet, photographs, or other materials that tell your story. Reporters won't be put off if you supply frequently asked questions. Remember, Public Speaking 101, at the end of the speech, what's the one thing you want them to remember? You can download the document I supply to reporters who interview me and squirm through a video that demonstrates how not to conduct your media interview at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for tuning into the show, everybody. It is Free Talk Live, the live Monday night edition. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass. I was given an honorary doctorship the other day, so thanks for that. Joining me,
made it.
Yeah, I did.
It's Ian.
And you are?
Nobody.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for joining us, nobody.
Ain't nobody got time.
Well, nobody does have time. He'll be here for another couple hours at least.
It's true.
That's right. Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you will find a cornucopia of information neatly organized by your needs. There's no longer an excuse for ignorance of this important world-changing information. If you are a knowledgeable crypto user already, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines of all the news relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet, mining, trading, and all of the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. Visit bitcoin.com. So we've been talking about censorship and how it applies to people, not only from the social media companies, but with regards to mobile phone providers. And this article from frontpagemag.com goes on to say, don't get the idea that desktops and laptops are safe either. Microsoft is evolving towards a walled garden of apps. Redmond being incompetent, it's messed up multiple opportunities to do so already, notably Windows 8, which was a complete disaster. The PC is really only as free as it is because Microsoft is incompetent, but Microsoft
Has there been a version of Windows that wasn't a disaster?
Yeah, I don't know. But Microsoft wants to take a percent from every app installed. Of course they do. They're greedy. And at some point it's going to...
Well, that's not greedy. That's stupid because Linux already is...
way ahead of that curve.
Yeah. It's becoming more and more user-friendly every day, and it's gaining more mind share every day. And I'm meeting more and more non-technical people who can use Linux as well as they use Windows.
Right.
I mean, not well, but not worse.
Right. And that technology has grown. You used to have to be a very technical person to migrate over to Linux, and you'd have to build your own machine, and you'd have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get it to run the way you wanted it to.
I used to do all that all night.
Yeah, it's been pretty easy to use for your average user for several years now. I mean, it's definitely ready for prime time, I think, for your typical web surfing, word processing user. If you want to get into gaming, you probably still need to stay away from Linux. But for the standard kind of internet-y word processing office tasks, Linux is just great.
Yeah. And the only thing it's going to take for gaming to pick up or to catch up is basically to have enough mind share on Linux that you get the same sort of user adoption. The only problem with that is that there are a million open source games that you can play on Linux. They're not quite as slick as the games that you pay for, but you don't have to pay for them, and if you don't like the way they work, you can change them.
Yeah. This author predicts that at some point Microsoft is going to shove all of that into Windows 10 in another update while deliberately breaking Windows 7 under the guise of some sort of emergency threat. Well, I mean,
that sounds like Microsoft.
Sounds like a logical thing, or at least something that would indeed happen.
They used to periodically break the DLLs that got linked into programs written with Borland C++. So basically, they were trying to force people to use their compiler that way. It's been their MO from the beginning.
Yeah, the internet service providers are also narrowing down to a smaller group that's only going to get smaller, which would make it possible for a handful of telecoms to likewise block access to particular websites. There are a lot more workarounds for that scenario, but every workaround limits the potential audience and ghettoizes conservatives.
I don't see that as ghetto was a place where people were separated out intentionally.
Yeah,
ghettoizes. The ghettos that were built for or were places where the Jews were designated to be allowed to live. That's where the first term first came from. But the thing is, no, every time they force more people into this boat, then it grows the market incentive and the ability for people to build ways out of this boat, because the internet was not built for Facebooks and for Twitters. The internet was built for NNTP, network news, for IRC, for things where you could get the same thing from 10,000 providers. And if you didn't like your provider or they didn't like you, you could move on to the next one and nobody could tell the difference.
This author goes on to talk about many different things, including like CloudFront and similar services. He talks a little bit about the search engine issue, where there's really only two. There's Google and Microsoft's Bing. And DuckDuckGo, he says, is cute, but it only allows you to search Bing without Microsoft tracking your searches. So it's a skin over Bing that doesn't transmit the same amount of data as if you just searched Bing. And you can compare
fine.
Bing to
As a matter of fact, my suggestion to them, I didn't know they were only doing one thing. They should look at Dogpile, which searches a whole bunch of different search engines.
That sounds useful.
Is Dogpile still around?
Yeah, Dogpile's still there.
Is that the one you use?
Actually, I usually use DuckDuckGo because I don't know what Dogpile's privacy record is. But you could easily do something that was a combination that had the privacy of DuckDuckGo while having the multiple connections of Dogpile.
So this author goes on to say antitrust action is a partial answer.
No, it's not.
I don't think so either. He says it's the biggest one to date. The only other answers are to work around the restrictions, to be rats within the walls. That's us. It's a challenging prospect that will limit the potential audience, or to reimagine the internet, an even more challenging concept.
That sounds scary.
That's actually exactly what I'm doing.
There are some ideas, but they'll have to wait until their time.
Yeah, but when the government reimagines the internet, it's going to be bad.
Oh, God. Did they say the government should do it?
No,
Screw
no.
that.
He's talking about workarounds. And
he was talking about antitrust. That means he's looking to the state.
He says
for a
one solution. He says another solution is to reimagine the internet
who does
altogether.
he think's going to do that?
Me.
Well, I mean, we've seen it sort of reimagined.
Nobody's going to do it.
We've seen it reimagined by people, not implemented, but we've seen creative folks, things that never took off. We talked about MaidSafe a little bit the other day. That was an interesting idea. It never got off the ground for whatever reason.
Wasn't
I'm
that
not sure.
decentralized storage or something like that?
Yeah,
What
it was the biggest acronym I can remember.
Yeah.
It was Massive Array Internet Disk made secure access for everyone. Safe, MaidSafe.
Yeah.
So pretty much IPFS, but not yet ready for prime time.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the guts of it
IPFS
works,
still needs a little work.
But
too.
that was somebody reimagining how the internet could work. And like something like MaidSafe, imagine that you would have a personal data. I think they called it a bubble. You would have a capsule, if you will, of all your personal data, and then you and only you got to choose what of your personal data was shared with what providers and what websites and stuff like that at the time that you connected to it. So every time it would have to ask, what data do you want to share? Now you could automate some of that, but it certainly
There's a
sounded
thing called Node Solid that's working on that concept, and it being produced by the same guy who invented HTTP and HTML, and it's quite possibly an amazing innovation.
And it does seem like you were right. Straight Talk has changed their business model, and they are now switching carriers as you travel around.
Straight Talk, no jive.
Yeah, good for them.
I'm going to start a company called No Jive just so Straight Talk can buy me out, and then they can change their name to Straight Talk, No Jive. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
If you're doing something very interesting, or you have a reputation for doing something very interesting, then you become more interesting to track.
I love how dramatic you are.
Oh my, well, that's the month I worked in psychotropic substances when I was working for the CIA.
Yeah. So you were testing what, LSD or that sort of thing, or what?
Hey, you think I'm going to say on the air?
You've already told us you work for the CIA.
You couldn't possibly find out who I am.
The way that you speak and your tone of voice, you sound like Cruella DeVille. I've noticed it from the moment you got on the phone.
I even look like her.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, You can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Yes, indeed. You are correct. You have tuned in to Free Talk Live.
That's where I thought I was.
Good thing.
Yeah, that was a close one, huh?
Yeah, every once in a while, it turns out that I'm on The View, and it's like, oh, God, this isn't the show for me.
Well, we're here, and this is where we are. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160. If you'd like to join the conversation, again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's me, the captain.
Yeah, it's Ian.
And Eleanor Roosevelt. No, I'm nobody.
Oh, I was going to say, I was pretty sure you were Eleanor Rigby, but...
Eleanor Rigby.
Nobody knows all the words. Right.
I actually like that song, although I can't remember the words, it turns out.
There was a, I'll call them a power metal band in the mid-'80s, maybe 86 or so, out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, called Realm, R-E-A-L-M. They put out an album called Suiciety, which I think is a great word.
Nice.
I like that word. But they did the fastest, most operatic cover of Eleanor Rigby I have ever heard, and it's amazing. If you folks out there are even remotely interested,
have you
Google
heard
Realm on YouTube.
Disturbed do the Sound of Silence? Speaking of great covers,
I can't stand that band.
Really?
Yeah,
I like them.
Their name really lives up to it for me.
That's how you feel about it.
I'm very disturbed by them. Yeah,
I almost never really hate a band.
I'll have to remember not to perform them at karaoke for you.
No, I mean, I can tolerate them. Just don't play Led Zeppelin. That's all I ask. I'm haunted by Led Zeppelin.
You don't like Zeppelin?
I'm haunted by Led Zeppelin, and thus I do not like Led Zeppelin.
Which one of them haunts you?
All of them.
Really?
Yes. I can't get away from
There's
Led Zeppelin.
There's people who would pay for that.
I understand. I wish I could sell it. I would sell it in a heartbeat for a very cheap price.
What bothers you about them? Is it just
it's that they're the most overplayed band in all of history? Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard all their songs
I can't bring
far
myself,
too often.
I can't bring myself to worry about what other people listen to too much. I just listen to what I like.
Yeah. Well, and I do that now, but when I walk into Rite Aid or something, right? I'm going to pick up some, floor cleaner or something. And it's the Muzak version of Stairway to Heaven playing. And then I'll go from Rite Aid to the grocery store, and it'll be some other Led Zeppelin song playing. I'll turn on the radio, and on the classic rock station, it's frickin' Led Zeppelin playing. And I have days where I can't get away. Yeah, I can't get away from Led Zeppelin.
If you ever get big enough, there'll come a day when somebody will walk into the store and it's going to be you on there.
It's that Captain Kick-Ass again.
I'm so sick of that
you
guy.
You went to the underground club and said, "This is my jam," and then the day comes when you go to the bar and say, "This is my jam," and you know you're getting old when you go to the grocery store and go like, "Oh God, this is my jam."
You're in the elevator and you hear the like Casio tone version of your song.
I've heard Muzak versions of the Grateful Dead.
Oh, they're horrible.
Yeah, no, God, no.
So anyway, you've heard us talk about Divi here on Free Talk Live, and maybe you've wanted to set up one of their easy-to-deploy masternodes or stake Divi so that you can begin earning Divi right now. Ian over here, he says setting up a Divi masternode was super easy, and staking was even easier. We're not investment advisors here on Free Talk Live, but we do think you will be impressed with your earning potential with Divi as compared to traditional investment vehicles. Go to diviproject.org and get started. You can buy Divi at several exchanges or directly from the Divi team. If you need help, there's a link to their Telegram channel right on the front page at diviproject.org. That's DIVI project.org. Okay, so I was covering this article from frontpagemag.com. The title is Parler and the Problem of Escaping Internet Censorship. This author has sort of laid the groundwork of the problem with the cell phone providers, with the two major app providers being Apple and Google, with the telecom fiasco, with the ISPs, that they're all just a handful of companies now, right? All of this ability and power has been concentrated, if you will. And there's some other things. Nobody, you mentioned Amazon as one of the big players that can, obviously
they're a big player, and they provide the hosting service for Parler. And they cut them off.
Correct. Yes. We talked about that last night a bit.
But they also provide right now the hosting service for Cell 411.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to be very careful to be ready to move Cell 411 if and when they take a dislike to us.
Yeah, AWS has the largest market share that I'm aware of web hosting services.
And the worst interface I've ever used. I like Linode so much better.
Yeah.
Well, earlier this year in June, when there was all this hubbub over police violence, and rightfully so, it was like finally about time people and the media are finally paying attention to police abuse of people, and there were protests and there was all kinds of media coverage, and people were like, all right, hold the police accountable. Now a lot of those same people are cheering on the police. They're saying, oh yeah, bust the heads of those people in the Capitol. You need to investigate. We'll give you information. It's okay now. You police, we're your friends now.
Both sides.
And to be fair, a lot of the Trumpers were cheering on the police as they were killing people for Black Lives Matter. And now they're getting a taste of their own medicine. The thing that made me a never Trumper was listening to his rally in Burlington, Vermont, when he had a woman thrown out without her coat who was there to protest, and then made some comment later about how police should not be so gentle when they make arrests, So
and what we've seen, though, nobody.
Okay, I don't need any of this guy.
So what we've seen, as you both have just illustrated, is that both sides have completely flipped their position, not only on riots and protesting, but on police and brutality.
Right. And they do that on war all the time. Yeah. I remember when I heard Republicans complaining about war all of a sudden when Obama was in office, which they never do. And then except for Ron Paul, of course, who's, again, a prince among politicians.
He at least remained principled. So we've laid all this groundwork about technology and the networks behind it and the internet and the service providers and Amazon Web Services and all that. And this author says this is a big problem. All of these small number of companies controlling all of this data and information and access, but it might not even be the biggest problem. The biggest problem, or the problem, isn't just that Facebook, Twitter, or Google are biased against a certain set of people like conservatives. The problem is that the internet is controlled by an increasingly small interconnected network of companies who can all act in concert to suppress anyone or anything they don't like. Mm-hmm. You can't just walk in and compete with a trust.
And I've been complaining about that for years. The original design of the internet, it was designed by DARPA, and one of the design criteria was you have to be able to nuke any 6 cities in America, and the internet has to stay up. And
Right.
they built a system where you could nuke every city in America, and the rural areas would still have internet because it was a mesh.
Right.
Then they gave it to the phone companies, and the phone companies set up hubs. And now, do you know what you'd have to do to take the internet down completely?
Rip out all the fiber optics.
Nuke exactly 6 cities.
Oh, it's back to 6
I can
now.
name them. They're Atlanta, New York, Chicago,
They're all the telco colos.
Kansas City. I think it's there's one by Redmond, Washington,
Yeah.
and there's one by San Diego.
Yep.
And everything goes through there.
Yep.
When I was in Florida, I used to watch my trace routes, and I would see my packets going to Atlanta before they went to my neighbor across the street.
Yeah, whenever there's a new startup telephone company of some sort, like a VoIP company, they target one of those cities that you just named at a time. So they'll start in, I don't know, Chicago, for example, and then once they start a customer base there, then they'll go and get some phone numbers from one of the other cities you named, like Seattle, for example, or Los Angeles or the Bay Area, that type of a thing. So yeah, absolutely correct. This author goes on to finish up and say, in the last decade, the Democrats, the media, and big tech have assembled a rationale, e.g. disinformation, Russian interference for heavily censoring the internet. Conservatives were slow to grasp the scale of the threat, to react to it, and to build a plan to fight it. That plan still isn't fully there, and there's only so much time.
The plan is fully there. It was designed by the original creators of the internet. We need to go back to an old school internet and to a design philosophy under which they could say the net interprets censorship as damage and routes around it.
Open, neutral, and decentralized is the way to go. We got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. D-I-V-I Project.org.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Another resignation. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. With only 9 days until Inauguration Day, Acting Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf has tendered his resignation, writing a letter to colleagues citing what he called recent events, not specifically addressing last week's riot at the Capitol. That violence, though, is sparking growing calls for the removal of President Trump.
House Democrats will force a vote tomorrow on a resolution urging Vice President Mike Pence and the cabinet to remove President Trump from office by invoking the 25th Amendment. Early Wednesday morning, House Democratic leaders say debate will begin on an article of impeachment. A group of Democrats introduced an impeachment resolution accusing President Trump of incitement of insurrection, writing the president willfully made statements that encouraged lawless action at the Capitol. If the impeachment resolution clears the House, a Senate trial is unlikely before President-elect Biden takes office next week. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The FBI with a warning about plans for armed protests at all 50 state capitals and in Washington, D.C. leading up to Inauguration Day. The warning says the protests may start later this week and extend through January 20th. Conservative social media app Parler is suing Amazon Web Services after it was dropped by the company following in the steps of Google and Apple.
Parler's most well known for gaining a huge amount of popularity among President Trump's supporters in recent months, but the tech giants all say that the site is lawless. They say it allows users to promote and organize violence totally unchecked. Now, Republican lawmakers are calling foul, claiming big tech is now censoring conservatives because of their political viewpoints.
Fox's Jillian Turner. Amazon Web Services responded after Amazon dropped the service, saying that the claims that it's trying to silence conservatives have no merit, and saying Parler took no action after it was warned about content on its site. America is listening to Fox News.
Even in the new year, it's hard to start a new routine. But if you're one of the 34% of Americans who made a resolution to be less stressed, Headspace is here to help. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research and can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Go to headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial. This is the best deal offered right now. Headspace.com/Fox.
One Midwest state taking steps to improve safety at its Capitol building after last week's riot in D.C.
Michigan legislators have always been able to walk around carrying a firearm, but as of today, that practice is banned. The state's Capitol Commission, which oversees the building's operation, decreed that openly carrying a firearm is no longer allowed, citing both the incident at the U.S. Capitol last week and a situation last year when armed protesters, unhappy with Governor Gretchen Whitmer's coronavirus decrees, entered the Capitol carrying rifles. Some Michigan Democrats say the open carry ban doesn't go far enough. Evan Brown, Fox News.
That online purchase you made that you're having second thoughts about could end up yours for free.
Some retailers are changing policies on their returns with shipping demand up during the pandemic. Amazon and Walmart, for instance, in some cases are refunding customers while still telling them to keep or donate the items. Free returns sometimes cost the companies more for shipping than the cost of the item itself. And the Wall Street Journal says companies are using artificial intelligence to help determine which are worth sending back. Walmart says its Keep It option, designed for merchandise it doesn't plan to resell, is determined by factors such as a customer's purchase history. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
After a long stretch of small prizes, lottery players now have a chance at a choice of games that have combined jackpots of more than $1 billion. The jackpot for Mega Millions tomorrow night is about $600 million.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
For over 12 years, Halverson Enterprises CEO Peter Weathers has taken a hands-on approach in all aspects of the tech firm's growth and day-to-day business. But employees say the executive's true talent lies in his unique ability to recognize great ideas and then absolutely ruin them.
For as long as I've worked here, Peter has been able to sit down in a meeting, listen to a million different ideas, pick out the one that makes the most sense creatively and financially, and then totally destroy it until there's basically nothing worthwhile about it left. He's remarkable.
Employees throughout the company say they're most impressed by Weathers' ability to water down promising ideas with meaningless jargon, consistently choose the wrong person to head up every project, and inject virtually every halfway decent thought with his own short-sighted and terrible insights.
At our all-hands meeting the other week, our team put forth a very feasible plan to boost productivity. And it was really incredible to see Peter's mind at work, just taking every good aspect of our proposal and dismantling it like a small child.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hour numero dos. Here on Free Talk Live.
Hora dos. Me gusta hora dos. Mucho. Me gusta mucho.
Zwei. Right? What's
swine?
Deux. Right?
Did you
French
say
is
swine?
deux. You did that last night. I know. Hey, man's got to have a shtick, right? You know, I got to stick to it.
That's what we'd always call cops back in the day, with Schwein. You Schwein!
Welcome back to the program, everybody. It is Free Talk Live, the Monday night edition. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. If you'd like to join the conversation, we'll get to your calls in just a moment. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And let's just go ahead and do that right now. We've got Steve calling from Connecticut. Steve, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, it's your political refugee from Connecticut.
Hey, Steve. Hello, Mr. Political Refugee. How are you?
I think you're only a refugee technically when you're in New Hampshire. When you go back to Connecticut, you're like an ex-refugee.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm back to being a prisoner of King Ned here in Connecticut. Yeah.
What's going on in Connecticut?
Ned's dead.
Well, Connecticut. I don't know. That's I don't know.
All right, what's on your mind
down
then?
Here? Anyway, so last week when this whole Capitol thing went down, they're calling it another 9/11 event. Those darkest days in American history.
Hey, there were 5 people killed, and they were all amongst the people you hate. That's as bad as 3,000 regular people being killed, right?
Steve, I wanted to ask you a question because some folks are calling it a siege, some folks are calling it a riot. What are you calling it?
I don't know. I mean, they should have just went a little bit further and burned the Capitol down. Why did they do that?
I'm right there with you, bro. Are we going to get deplatformed for that? I don't know.
Oh, no. It was funny because you see them walking and they're still between those velvet ropes.
Yeah.
Walk through the Capitol.
Yeah.
But
they just milled around and took selfies for the most part.
Right. So, this being another 9/11. So what happened after 9/11? There was a, 8,000-page, Patriot Act that was rolled out in 2 weeks.
Yep.
How do you write all that in 2 weeks?
What makes the people in Congress so important that people just entering their building is like another 9/11? Well, people burning down somebody's life's work is no big deal.
But they were cowering in fear. They were on their knees.
That's what they do. They're politicians.
Their natural position.
Feel the fear. So they rolled out the Patriot Act, which obviously they roll all this stuff out, like the Affordable Care Act has nothing to do with affordability or care.
Right.
They roll out the Patriot Act. It has nothing to do with patriotism.
What's the new act?
I'm just waiting, and funny, at the news break, I just heard this. So I'm wondering when they're going to roll out when are they going to roll out the Protester Protection Act of 2021?
Yes.
I don't know, but I did hear that they had something prepped, that they had like a 20,000-page bill after the, whatever it is, the thing that happened in D.C., that somehow days later, in 2 days, they have a 20,000-page piece of legislation that they want everybody to vote on now.
Well, hey, if you get 1 million corporate lawyers all typing as fast as they can produce all the works of Shakespeare or a lot of tyranny.
So I just heard on the news break, during the news break on LRN, that Michigan now, the governor is saying that you can't have a gun at the state capitol. So there's part of the Protester Protection Act.
Yeah.
So I think the Protester Protection Act will basically say, stay home, stay safe. You won't get hurt if you're a protester. Stay out of Washington. Stay away from the state capitol. Go to a Zoom meeting and protest.
Yes. Be a safe protester by shutting up and going home.
That or they'll designate a protest area somewhere near the state house or the capitol or whatever.
The free speech zone.
Right,
They already did that.
Right, but they'll just rebrand it. They've already got it, so they'll just change a sign, and now it'll be
the Protester Protection Zone.
Right, yeah.
Can I get to my second point, which I don't know if you have time.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering about how.
Go ahead. We'll try not to interrupt you 4 or 5 more times.
But we probably will, because we talk. We just run our mouths over and over, on and on. It's enough to drive you mad.
Aye. All right.
Steve.
So, these couple, like, let's say Apple, all right, as deplatformed people, or Facebook, they're going to lose half of their audience, aren't they? You would think?
Probably not half.
Or a big share of it.
Yeah, a chunk of it. Not half of the United States, or not quite half. I think usually votes or close to that in any given election. So there's about half of the people that just don't care.
Yeah.
And then of the other remainder, there's not all of them are Republicans and not all of them are Democrats. Some of them are, registered independents, but it will be a chunk. I mean, for sure.
And let's not forget, Facebook is global. So, if they lose 20% of their United States, users, do they really care?
No big deal.
Probably not.
Well, the thing that
they have more gain by keeping people quiet. I got you. Okay. Well, I was thinking about, hey, what is the Dow Jones going to split into, like the Republican Dow Jones and the Democrat Dow Jones?
Yeah,
the blue Jones and the red Jones.
Will there be room for a green Jones in the middle so we can invest in agris companies and people who actually
Gold
stuff?
Jones. You could have a Gold Jones Industrial.
We could add basketball Jones in there.
You beat me to it.
Nice.
Oh,
great
wow.
show, guys. Thanks.
You're a wordsmith, which is great when you've got a word Jones.
Ooh, baby. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Anything else, Steve?
All right. That's it. Great show, guys.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks for calling, bro.
That guy Steve's funny.
Wasn't that Cheech and Chong?
But the thing is,
it was Cheech and Chong, as a matter of fact.
But the thing is, if you get 20% of the people off Facebook, okay, first off, Facebook no longer has that property of being ubiquitous. Okay. And as other platforms become more, basically you're going to start a drain of other people who are going not for political reasons, but because their favorite entertainer or their favorite writer has gone. And so I think this could be the beginning of the end for Facebook dominance, if not for Facebook.
I hope so, kind of, because Facebook has enjoyed far too big of a social media market share, in my opinion, for far too long.
Yes.
And it would be really, 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 really nice if there's any, cypherpunk style people out there that have been working on, some sort of decentralized, open, neutral app that is a social media app that, maybe now is the time to get together and work a little bit harder, or work with some people that, maybe you had some slight differences with, to put something together to take some of this market share away.
I'm doing my best, bro.
I'm not looking at you specifically.
I thought you meant me.
Although I am looking at you, kind of.
You are looking at me.
I was speaking to our audience and, that kind of thing. So I know you're working on some cool stuff.
Sometimes if you don't want anybody to take things personally, you look at nobody when you talk.
That's true. Yes, you look away. So yeah, I hope we see some new technology emerge out of all this crap, because it's beyond time, in my opinion.
We just got to get those few boneheads who are still clinging to Facebook off it,
Yeah, I know. I'm also a little bit, what's the term I'm looking for? Lazy, perhaps? Like, because I did the MySpace thing and I invested so much time and effort on making my page as awesome as I thought it could be.
Oh, then you're clearly a bum.
And then I had to just sort of abandon that, all the time and effort. I learned a bit of HTML. I learned how to embed audio and video. I learned how to turn autoplay off because that annoyed me to no end when you go to somebody's MySpace page and it just started blaring all sorts of stuff. Some people didn't know what they were doing, and so they'd have 2 or 3 things that would blare at you simultaneously, which just made for an ugly experience, right? So, but then moved to Facebook, and it was all just sort of plain Jane cookie cutter for everybody, and I didn't like that.
That way the idiots could use it just as well as the smart people.
So now I wait for the 2.0, right? When everybody migrates to something else, I wait for a few years, and then maybe I'll jump on. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by TJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
Yep. Hello. Bring. Sesame Street, anybody?
I recognized
Rosie.
it.
Bing.
It is Free Talk Live. Our telephone number here is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. We'll get to your calls and thoughts momentarily. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And AnyPay 2.0 is here. And crypto payments are now faster than ever. If you're using Edge Wallet, Handcash, Bitcoin.com, or Dash Wallets, your experience should be really smooth. But some wallets aren't quite ready for this impressive new technology. These wallet programmers need to hear from you, the wallet users. Visit anypayinc.com/upgrade to learn why some popular wallets are incompatible with AnyPay 2.0 and reach out to those wallet programmers to encourage them to make payments perfect at anypayinc.com/upgrade.
Who else is using that protocol on the server side? Are there other vendors who are publishing things that are compatible with it?
I don't know. That's a great question.
I believe BitPay is doing something similar.
Yeah,
okay, but
BitPay,
not the same technology.
There's one other sort of, I don't know. I think they're just a cash register provider. I don't think that they're quite as.
Who?
I don't remember their name. There's one.
Can't help you.
Yeah. Okay. Did that answer your question, nobody? Because I think that's all the further we're going to get.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, great. Let's go to some of your calls and your thoughts. We've got Conejo calling. Conejo, where are you calling from today?
Los Angeles, unfortunately.
Okay. Oof. And what's on your mind?
I just wanted to criticize what I find to be an extremely stupid conservative talking point and then offer a couple of actual solutions for them.
Okay, go ahead.
So this whole platform versus publisher thing, I keep reading First Amendment. I think I'm on my 9th pass now, and I don't see the words publisher or platform anywhere in it.
Agreed.
There's no difference. So that's a really stupid talking point from their part. And all they're doing is undermining the First Amendment.
Certainly, you do know that newspapers can be sued for libel based on things that they publish, right? Is that true or false?
Yeah, that's true.
And you know that that social media sites like Facebook cannot be sued for libel based on what's published on their site, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Well, okay, so there is a difference
right, but the point is
between the two businesses. One is considered a common carrier. The other is considered to be controlling the speech
all legalese.
That's on them.
Yeah, that's
and
all
there
legalese.
is a difference between, yes, because it's a question of how the law treats people.
Yeah, and the law's crap.
How the law treats people is based on what the law says.
But it's not based on the Constitution. It's not based on the Constitution. None of that is. So newspapers should be able to print whatever the hell they want to print.
I would agree, but they can't. Whereas Facebook is privileged, they can.
Okay, Conejo says he has a solution. Go ahead.
Okay, so Google is a government-created monopoly with 97% market share because of their 54,000 patent monopoly privileges. So I've got a wild idea. Let the free market work. Because Google, Facebook, Twitter, they're all the commons because of government intervention in the marketplace.
Okay, so far I'm following you.
That's it. Free market.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Conservatives. I don't understand why they don't get that.
I'm right there with you. I think we should end all patent, end all copyright. I think people should be free not to lie and say they created something that they copied, but they should be free to republish that which has been published. That would make a huge difference. I'm an open source guy, and I've been fighting this battle for years.
Yeah, and I'm as a musician and somebody who's been involved in music and had music distributed. I am not an IP guy. This whole bit about copyright for music. Hey, use my music for whatever. Just give me some credit, man.
And musicians should be, because the people who make money from copyright aren't the musicians.
Right.
It's the labels who make all the money from album sales, and you're left with nothing but your live shows. So copyright does nothing for creators.
Right.
Lawyers make money, not the inventors. Mom and pop shops are not making stuff in their garage. It's megacorps consolidating intellectual property privileges. Can I give a quick shout out for a platform that people should consider?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's a social media it's a protocol, really. It's a federated protocol called Mastodon. It's mostly run by commies, but you can set up your own server and federate with whoever you want. It's called the Fediverse. So there's a libertarian server called Liberdon.com. If you love liberty, create an alternate parallel network effect, a backup account, and just build that parallel network effect while you're getting booted off the other platforms, and you'll have it there in perpetuity. And eventually we'll have enough people there that we'll start noticing more and more toots. They're called toots, not tweets. We'll start noticing more and more notifications on our phone and the activity, and all of a sudden it'll be a paradigm shift, and they'll be totally effed.
Have you? Are you new to the show? We've been talking about Liberdon and Mastodon for, I think, 2 years now.
Oh, no. I'm talking to the audience mostly.
Oh, okay.
I've heard you guys talk about it.
Some of the audience is clearly new to the show.
Yeah,
indeed.
I remember you guys talking about Bitcoin Pizza Day when it first happened.
All right, right on.
All right, appreciate the call. Can I have a great night? Indeed. Free Talk Live has been talking about that for quite some time. Can folks get in on that?
Can they get in on what?
The Mastodon?
Absolutely. There's a lot of different Mastodon instances out there. We're working on one of them right now, but we're still getting that set up.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's move right along, and let's go to William calling from California. William, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. Can you hear me, sir?
Indeed. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm a first-time calling, and I'm no news chicken to this entire process here. I kind of been listening and studying, and I have been watching it evolve. And a lot of people should be very aware. I have a couple comments and one question, a hard question.
Okay.
My comment is, let me ask you a question. If you were on fire, you'd probably try to put it out as fast as possible, right?
Stop, drop, and roll, Dick, roll.
It depends on whether or not I was in a hurry, because as Richard Pryor said, when you on fire, people get out your way.
Well, yeah, you don't want to be in the middle of a theater when you happen to be on fire either.
Because you can't shout about it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you would be putting it out. Well, we are on fire. And we have Chinese who have death camps. And, we're taking this way too lightly, because now they're coming here through our Oval Office, or trying to. And we need to be ready. And I'm calling out to the president, and I'm calling out to all people who are listening. We need to be getting ready, man. We need to really.
What does that mean, to get ready? I want to know more.
Hey, William, can you hang on? We want to talk to you a bit more. Can you stay on hold?
Sure.
All right, we'll get you right back. Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. More with William and his comments coming up.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. That's right. We're back. You're back. And so let's move forward. Our telephone number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join the conversation. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And let's go ahead and go back to our caller, William, who's calling from California. William, you sounded like you had a bunch more to say. You said you had a couple comments and a question, so continue.
Well, the next thing I have to say is it's a little bit of a business proposal to President Trump. and that is he can command 50,000 people 5 times a day across this country. I would pay good money to see him. He should keep right on going because we don't need to stop these rallies. We need to stay together. We need to continue to be organized. We need to be cohesive. We need to be, of course, peaceful. I think if we are left to our own devices.
What's the goal of the? You said these rallies. You said you don't want them to stop. What are these rallies, and what is the goal of them?
We need to stay focused. We need, as a people, it's like herding cats.
On what? Focus on what?
On everything. On
okay, that's not you can't do
on
that.
everything. That's a contradiction in terms.
You can only focus on specific things. You can't focus on everything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have to stay focused. That's
okay, but on what?
The whole goal. Just we as a nation, we the people, for starters.
Okay, that's how do you stay focused? What does that mean?
Well, we have gone to these rallies, and these rallies have been with us now for quite a while, and it seems as though people have grown accustomed to them. We have learned a lot. We have developed community. We've developed a community mentality. We've reunited, so to speak, family
What's the
reunion,
goal?
so to speak.
I mean, are you trying to get Trump elected in 4 years? Or?
Keep America great. Why do you what's the obsession with America? Why not just give up and say it's been a failed experiment? It's a miserable failure. America is one of the world's dominating powers. It destroys countless lives. It destroys its own people's lives. Why not just call it a day and say, you know what? Why don't we split up and say, hey, communists, move to California. People on the right wing, move to South Dakota or Texas or something like that, and just call it a day.
I've got a new slogan for you. Make America states again.
I think the answer to your question is because the Chinese state has failed as well. They have propped themselves up on 80 million casualties since Mao. And, that makes Hitler and Mussolini and Stalin look like Boy Scouts.
Okay, I don't understand how the Chinese government is an answer to why, my question, which was why not give up on the whole idea of the United States as a total failure and embrace the idea of decentralization, embrace the idea of secession and independence?
If at first you don't secede, try again.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I'm chasing my tail now. I'm sorry. I'm kind of at a loss. But
okay, so you don't know. It's an okay. Hold on.
It's good. It's fine that you haven't considered that.
Right.
This is a great time to.
Right. So before you go on, let's talk about what you need to know about this. So if you're not sure about the idea of the secession and independence, then what would help you understand that better?
Well, one, I've heard of secession. It was called the Civil War. It didn't really unify our country.
Why would you want to unify people? They can't get along.
That's the opposite of the intention.
Yeah, why would you want to unify people who obviously cannot get along?
Well, because we can't run from our problems anymore.
Are you willing to let the leftists run your life half the time?
Well, that is... that is a given no.
Okay, well, they're not willing to have you run their lives all the time. So basically, you have two things you can do. You can each compete to determine who gets to clobber the other one for 4 years, or you can split up. And if you were a married couple, I would say, oh my God, these people need a divorce. And that's exactly what I say when I hear the right hating on the left and the left hating on the right. Maybe they shouldn't each be at risk of having the others forcibly controlling their lives.
But question. Are they ever going to go away? Are either parties ever going to go away? Even if we do secede, are they going to go away? No.
Well, if they secede, then each state can be different. There can be states that are full of leftists, and there can be states that are full of leftists, and New Hampshire can take all the libertarians, and then we can each live our own way.
We already
because
see it.
Federalism was the whole design of the United States. And federalism, like many people, died in the Civil War. And ever since, it's been each state trying to force their way on all the other states. And I don't want to hitch my cart to California or New York or New Jersey or Massachusetts, and I don't want to hitch my state to Texas or Florida either. I want to do things the New Hampshire way, and that's live free or die, and neither the left nor the right is down with me being free.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. There's 7 ways to Sunday, but there's always somebody that wants to control somebody, and there's always going to be somebody from New York that's going to want to move to Maine, and they're going to bring their values.
They're not going to want to move to Maine if Maine has an unapologetically right-wing government, just like you're not going to want to move to New York if New York has an unapologetic left-wing government.
We already see it happening to some extent, in the last few decades. People move, right? So we've seen people are moving to South Dakota if they're on the right. If they're on the left, a lot of them are moving out to states like Washington and California and Oregon. So there's already a natural direction in people sort of self-selecting their location. What we're saying is there should be a much more specific request out there, that there should be an active movement of people calling to say, hey, come here, this is the place for you. And then when one of them secedes, because I think one of them will eventually.
I think it's going to happen too.
Whether it's New Hampshire, California, Texas, whoever it is that goes first, Vermont, Hawaii, these are some of the states that have somewhat active of secession movements within them. Then others are going to go. And then those are going to be real strong draws, because it'll then be obvious that they truly have some level of independence and they can really finally make their own decisions for themselves like nobody was talking about.
Well, we're overlooking the main question that I mentioned earlier. We have forces at play that are going to dissolve Maine and Florida and New York and California. It's all going to be dissolved, and it's going to be under a new world order of Chinese UN.
Well, we'll see about that.
Yeah, I don't see the Chinese doing very well taking over here. When the Japanese were going to try, they said that if we try to invade America, there will be a rifle behind every blade of grass, and that has not changed.
Well, it's probably not true in California anymore, but it's true.
Well, let them have California. Screw them.
Yeah, it's true in New Hampshire. There's a lot of guns.
I'm here.
Sorry, bro.
Well, you can come to New Hampshire if you become a libertarian. We'd love to have you.
Let me ask you: Are you anywhere near Derry?
No, but every once in a while I go to Derry just to smell that dairy air.
Well, Derry is the hometown of Alan Shepard, and I called the aerospace museum there, and I spoke with a lot of people there, and I grew up there way back when, and it's really sad that most people don't even know that Alan Shepard was raised in Derry.
There you go. Now you know. There's a fact.
Hey, thanks for the call, William. We appreciate it.
He's like an astronaut or something.
Oh,
good. 603-283-6160. And now we know that nobody likes to smell that dairy air.
I stole that from Stephen King.
More Free Talk Live coming up.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Welcome back, everybody. You've tuned in to Free Talk Live. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join the conversation. We'll get to more of your calls and your thoughts coming up. In the studio tonight, it's myself, Ian, and Nobody. And before we get to your calls, I wanted to tell you that Freedom's Phoenix is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. Do you want the news and freshest stories and perspective on current events from those who value liberty? FreedomsPhoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. Freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. That's FreedomsPhoenix.com. So... moving. Did you guys have any other comments about the previous caller before we move on?
Not specifically, but he did bring up protests and ongoing protests. And coming up, you've got information about something that's supposedly happening this weekend on Sunday at noon, I believe, and I think it's per time zone, so noon in each time zone. At all 50 state houses, which supposedly is going to involve the Boogaloo Boys.
I like the Boogie Boys. They're fun.
Supposedly. Well, we can get to that, but first, let's go to Sean, who's calling from New Hampshire. Sean, you are on Free Talk Live.
How you doing, guys?
Hey, Sean.
What's on your mind?
Hey.
I don't even know where to begin. I'm in New Hampshire, too, like you guys.
Well, then start in New Hampshire.
The demographic here is really weird. We're primarily Democrat, but I'm a conservative.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like only one side is pushing, and pushing, and the other side is sort of taking it. I have no idea where we're going with this whole mess, but, it definitely feels like we're going somewhere fast and somewhere bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. When are the New Hampshire natives who love liberty going to take off these masks?
You know what? I'm not wearing one, and I'm one of the very few guys. I'm from the Seacoast originally. Originally, I'm from Boston, but I've been up at the Seacoast for about 25 years. You know what I mean? My business is there. Now I'm up in the mountain region, the White Mountain region, and, it's a little more loose around here. But I'm one of the only guys in the store without the mask. And, like around here, people don't look at you. People are a little bit, more relaxed here. They're not as animal. But you go down to the Seacoast without a mask and people are looking at you. They're, mumbling stuff under their breath. I mean, just itching for a fight over a mask.
Well, most of them are a bunch of cowards, so they're not going to actually fight you. But they, every now and then one of them will work up the courage. And I mean every now and then. It's only happened to me one time in the last 9 months. But that one of them will work up the courage to say something sheepish to you about it. And, I think that what needs to happen, sort of like the New Hampshire native mentality, from what I understand. I'm not a native personally. I moved here in 2006 as part of the New Hampshire freedom migration. But, having met a number of the natives around here, New Hampshire is sort of a live free and let live place, meaning that people just kind of want to be left alone. And I think that extends to why some of them wear the mask in public, because they would rather just get their shopping done and be left alone. And I get that. But unfortunately, that's part of the problem. And it's part of the problem to be walking around in a mask if you don't actually believe in it, if you don't actually subscribe to that version of reality of that, fear, got to wear a mask. So if you're just wearing a mask because somebody you don't want your neighbors to talk bad about you, or you're worried about what somebody might say, or if somebody will say something to you that'll make your shopping trip take longer, or whatever your rationale is, that's sort of this socially based rationale, it's time to throw all that out the window and take the mask off and start acting like a free person and show your face, because these people who actually are afraid, the people let's call them, leftist cowards, who actually are afraid, they will then be so afraid to go outside of their homes that they'll move out of New Hampshire. They'll be like, what were we thinking moving here? There's all these unmasked people and they're carrying guns. We got to get out of here.
We should have known this wasn't the place for us. Their slogan is live free or die.
Go ahead, Sean.
Well, that's what the problem is. That's exactly what the problem is. There's no common sense. Everyone knows this virus is real, but instead of saying, is it real? My question is, who the hell released it? That's what I'm wondering. Where'd it come from?
What does it matter?
I don't even care where it came from.
Peculiar.
Everyone I've ever known that has had it,
I
haven't known very many people who've had it, and those who've had it have almost had no symptoms whatsoever. So, to me, whether it's real or not is immaterial. Is it actually, as deadly as they want you to believe it is? No way.
Definitely not. Absolutely not. Again, it's all about fear. It's all about, so that tells you it's an agenda being pushed, and that's what I'm getting at. And it's also a generational thing. People just aren't, I grew up in Boston, you know what I mean, in the 70s. Things were a little bit different. If you said something to somebody then, you better mean it, or you better be prepared to stand behind what you're saying. Now, these days, people are just saying whatever they want to say. Nobody, you don't have to stand up for what you're saying, or at least they don't have the spine to stand up for what they're saying or what they believe. Everybody's a keyboard warrior these days. It's just...
stand up for yourself, take the mask off, and don't be afraid. And if somebody says something to you at a store, just say you've got a medical exemption and leave it there. Question for you, Sean. How are you listening to the show tonight?
I'm actually online. I'm on Twitch.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thanks for being out there, man. I appreciate it.
I'm new to Twitch, too, so appreciate you guys bearing with me.
Right on, man.
I just recently dumped some of the other social media people there before they continued to dump us, but just trying to do my part to fight back.
Right.
But,
All right. Hey,
anyway,
thanks for the call
seems
tonight,
to be
Sean.
Working good.
We appreciate
Thanks
it.
for the call. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here, bro.
The reason I ask is we've got some new affiliates in New Hampshire. So I want to welcome WEMJ in Laconia, which is both,
Draconia? We're in Draconia?
Laconia is not as bad as it might sound.
Draconia isn't bad
I know,
at all.
They actually don't even have parking meters there.
We did an
They
article
got a lot of
about
Hells Angels.
We did an article about something that happened in Laconia, and I nicknamed the Draconia at that point.
was that when they did the titty protest?
No, it was probably
Pretty
Bike Week.
Titty
I think it was the Bike
protest?
Week thing, yeah.
Yeah, it was where they cracked down on Bike Week this year, earlier,
Right.
2020.
So-
But also, so WEMJ is a new affiliate. I haven't even added them to our website yet. I've been so busy with other things. They're in Laconia. They're on AM and FM. I don't have the frequencies in front of me, so
Welcome to the
That's the
Laconians.
most exciting thing to me. I want to take gangs of people out in these towns and hand out business cards or something and get as many people listening as possible, because I think this is going to help us change New Hampshire.
So who
for
are the other
better.
ones?
So WEMJ is AM 1490 and 107.3 there in Laconia. Also, welcome to listeners of WTPL, which is an FM-only talk station based in Hillsborough, actually, home of Taco Biondo.
Nice.
So their signal actually covers all of Concord as well. So we are covering now the state capital. And that's 107.7 FM there in Hillsborough and Concord. And then,
Well, if you're listening in Hillsborough and you haven't been to Taco Biondo, we're not getting paid for this, but nonetheless, go. Oh my God, they've got the best tacos.
WTSN is our existing station, so we've had them on for a year, but they used to run us at 10 p.m., so 10 to 1, so they delayed the show 3 hours. Now they've moved the show to live. So all of those stations, WTSN is in Dover. That's a college town on the seacoast. That's AM 1270 and also, I think, 98.1. Yeah, 98.1 FM.
All those stations are running us live?
All 5 of those transmitters are running us live every single night, all 7 nights a week. So it doesn't get any better than that.
Hell yes.
So welcome to all of our New Hampshire listeners.
Yes, and this is a call-in talk program, so if you would like to join us on air, the number is 603-283-6160.
We should have a special New Hampshireite call-in line, so we're sure they can get through. Probably not. Maybe someday.
And so you said Ron in the Capitol, huh?
That's right.
Nice. Well, if you can hear me, Sununu, you're a coward. A coward.
He's not there.
You should have debated me.
Yeah, he's not there. He's staying at home, remember?
But you knew I was a master debater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're like maybe Sununu's private bodyguard or something and you're listening, maybe relay the message.
Yeah.
I suspect they won't do that.
Tell him nobody's scared of him.
Can't we play telephone here on Free Talk Live?
You could try.
Over the air? We're playing
He's scared.
telephone
He's
over
a
the
very
radio.
frightened man, so I don't think that anyone's going to be doing that to relay him any sort of messages. They want him to feel like he's protected and safe.
Based on
When
his
danger
actions.
reared its ugly head, he bravely turned his tail and fled. Sununu ran away.
Oh my gosh.
That's the governor, by the way, for listeners that don't know.
I have no follow-up. 603-283-6160 is our number if you'd like to join the conversation. This is Free Talk Live. We've got more coming up.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A possible second impeachment. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. With just days left in the Trump presidency, House Democrats are moving ahead with one article of impeachment over last week's riot at the Capitol.
They charge President Trump gravely endangered the security of the United States and its institutions of government. He threatened the integrity of the democratic system, interfered with the peaceful transition of power, and imperiled a co-equal branch of government. Pennsylvania Republican Senator Pat Toomey told CNN it's too late for impeachment since President Trump is due to leave office next week.
I'm also not at all clear that it's constitutionally permissible to impeach someone after they have left office. So there may not be a viable impeachment route at this point.
On Capitol Hill, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
2 Capitol Police officers have reportedly been suspended as a result of last week's violence. Ohio Congressman Tim Ryan told reporters one of the officers took a selfie with someone and another officer put on a Make America Great Again hat. President Trump and Vice President Pence held a meeting today at the White House, speaking for the first time since Pence presided over the certification of the election. A source tells the AP they had a good conversation. Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is asking for federal help in the days leading up to Inauguration Day, calling on the Department of the Interior to cancel any permits for public gatherings due to security risks.
This is necessary because the inauguration poses several unprecedented challenges that exceed the scope of our traditional planning processes.
This afternoon, Acting Head of Homeland Security Chad Wolf announced his resignation, citing what he referred to as recent events, not specifically naming last week's riot, though a senior administration official tells Fox when President Trump withdrew Wolf's nomination for permanent Homeland Security Secretary, he was no longer able to serve as acting secretary. America is listening. Fox News.
Even in the new year, it's hard to start a new routine. But if you're one of the 34% of Americans who made a resolution to be less stressed, Headspace is here to help. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research and can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Go to headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial. This is the best deal offered right now. Headspace.com/Fox.
A leader of one European country weighs in on the banning of President Trump from Twitter.
Germany's leader Angela Merkel is said to be uneasy at Twitter's decision to ban President Trump from its platform. A spokesperson says Chancellor Merkel considers the move problematic because freedom of expression is a fundamental right. She does support Twitter's previous approach, applying warning labels to inaccurate or misleading presidential tweets. But the spokesperson says any curbs on free speech should be decided by lawmakers. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
Conservative social media site Parler has sued Amazon over its decision to drop it from its platform, accusing Amazon of making what it calls an illegal, politically motivated decision to benefit rival Twitter. Amazon made the decision last night after Apple and Google had already removed the app from its stores, and Amazon calls that lawsuit without merit. A manhunt underway for 6 men who escaped from a county jail in Central California.
They were first noticed missing just before midnight Saturday night. The Merced County, California Sheriff's Department says the men somehow got access to the roof and scaled down an exterior wall using a homemade rope. They're all 19 to 22 years old. 5 are charged with violent felonies, 1 with murder, 2 with attempted murder. Anyone spotting them is asked to stay away and call 911. Chris Foster, Fox News.
Federal prosecutors in Connecticut fighting a proposed reduction in a prison sentence for a convicted Bridgeport drug dealer who shot and killed an 8-year-old boy who was to be a witness at his murder trial in 1999. Adrian Peeler.
This is the Onion Week in Review. Sources are confirming your dog died earlier today, and we're all really sorry you had to find out about it like this, buddy. Though it's a lousy thing to have to learn from an online web video, and even shittier to hear from a cold, hardened newsman's voice that you can't put a face to, your pet passed away in his sleep while you went out today, and we understand how shocked you must be right now. Sources added that there are many local shelters with animals in need of a good home, though we understand that no dog can ever truly replace the one you just lost. I lost a dog once, but my mom was the one who told me about it, and she was quite the comfort. In this week's op-ed pages, Pantene CEO Marcus Russo laments feeling like the only one who gives a shit about rich, lustrous hair. In other news, a study finds that newborn infants can tell if their parents are losers. A man who just assembled a desk is unsure how he has every screw left over. And Jeff Beck is lured into a dark alley with the old guitar pick on a string trick. For more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
This is the Onion News Network.
We have a breaking news blast on the tragic situation happening across the country in which more than 40,000 Americans have been trapped in a Confessions animal hoarding marathon on Animal Planet for the last 13 hours. The Animal Hoarders Marathon began at 9 this morning as victims were preparing for a full day before hearing the fateful sound of the show's opening credits. Almost instantly, thousands were pinned to their couches by a story of a heavyset homosexual living with his partner, his toothless sister, and 31 chihuahuas. Rescue workers rushed to free as many victims as they could.
The rope secure? Rope secure. We're gonna get you out of here. Just hold on a second, ma'am.
Wait, I think the next one is about monkeys.
Ready? Ready! Pull!
No, wait. Can I just see what happens with the feral cat?
In other parts of the country, rescue workers enlisted volunteers who had already seen the episodes to spoil them for the victims.
Oh, yeah, this one. This is about the lady living with the dogs in the trailer. She doesn't even get evicted in the end.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
She sells seashells by the seashore.
Who, Sally?
I don't know.
Sarah?
She. Whoever she is, that's what she's been doing. I also know that Peter Pan, or picky people pick Peter Pan peanut butter because it's the picky peanut butter picky people pick, something like that.
And also Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers.
How many packs of peppers did Peter Piper pick?
I don't know.
This is Free Talk Live, in case you're wondering.
Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet, eating her curds away. Along came a spider, sat down beside her, said, "Yo, what's in the bowl, bitch?"
Andrew Dice Nobody here on Free Talk Live. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's me, the captain.
And Ian.
Nobody.
Also doing his best impersonation of Andrew Dice Clay.
No, that wasn't my best. I have to be off the radio to do my best stuff.
I've heard it. It's true. He really does. We mentioned previously in the previous
segment on Free Talk Live.
Nobody, did I ever tell you that I invented a character that doesn't really exist, but everybody knows his name? His name is Previous Leon.
Really?
Yeah, because in between all the TV shows, Previous Leon.
Yes.
You know, he's the guy. He's the Segway guy.
I like the name.
Previously on Free Talk Live, Ian over here had mentioned something about an event that involves people known as the Boogaloo Boys.
Supposedly, I heard actually about this from an Associated Press reporter who sent me an email today asking if I knew anything about this. Actually, I hadn't heard about it until he sent that to me, so I asked around in some of the Telegram chats that I'm in, and that's when I saw someone post a graphic promoting a protest that is expected to happen in all state capitals this Sunday.
Simultaneously, all state capitals.
Well, I don't know if it'll be simultaneous because I think it's supposed to happen at noon. So I don't think they specified which noon, so I'm guessing it's noon in every time zone.
So
that's virtually simultaneous.
No, it'll start in the East Coast and work its way west. Right?
Yes.
That's correct, yeah.
Yes, it gets later as you go west.
Go west.
It gets earlier as you go west.
It does.
Or yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know because I'm a bit of a time traveler. For my day job, I keep West Coast hours, which means out here it's like slacker hours.
So it's being promoted by a group called, what is it, Tree of Liberty, I believe?
The Tree of Liberty
must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and of tyrants.
Yeah, that's the rest of that. So it's an interesting sounding group, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is.
That was the quote that what the heck is his name? William delivered on the show after they were busting his balls because he was open carrying at the Obama rally.
Oh, yeah, but that quote goes way back.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wasn't quoting William. I was quoting the other guy that William was also quoting.
So I just want to give our listeners a taste. Scope of grievance and motive for event.
The scope of grievance is usually bad breath.
Thomas Jefferson, by the way, was the original.
Right.
Was he?
It could also be.
I thought it was Thomas Paine.
It could also be the Listerine of grievance, not the scope. It could be the Listerine of grievance.
It's true. It's true.
Anyway, scope of grievance and motive for event. For too long, the American society has been living with cancerous identity politics and labels. The Founding Fathers feared one day that the American politics would become based on political parties, and the focus would no longer be true freedoms and liberties, but instead, policies would be based on popularity of specific ideologies. News sources are not trustworthy, as they have become enveloped in political identity and are responsible for the division being sown into their audience. Americans have been faced with an ever-increasing division that is reminiscent of the 1860s, but at an accelerated rate due to misinformation. Although the issues of that time period...
I know her. She almost won.
Misinformation.
Yes.
Although the issues of that time period were different, the root cause was still there: political division and disregard for human rights. Even as most of us lead quiet, productive, and mostly comfortable lives, there are many who are faced with challenges that others will never experience. Their voices will never be heard, their sorrows never felt, and their struggles never seen. Because of the empty promises made by politicians, people's loyalties lie in a divided political system based on their present situation. Yet, we are all human. We all have the same inalienable rights. We are all Americans. Somehow, there is a perpetual thought that because you believe differently, vote differently, live differently, were born different, or look different from others, you deserve to be treated as such. Being different is what America was founded and built on.
Well, it took them a little while to get used to certain differences.
It doesn't really
especially skin color.
Explain anything about the event, though, does it?
No, it sure doesn't.
No. I wish they would say what they intend to do.
Well, they have another bit here. Spirit of the event, organizer statements. January 17th, 2021 is the time to use your voice to unify with other Americans. Send a message to those who are in power that wish to continue the division that can no longer do so. Or that they can no longer do so. This is not a rally for the right wing. This is not a rally for the left wing. This is a rally for, all caps, Americans. This is the time to stand up and not identify politically. This is the time to shatter the fear narrative spread by the mainstream media and unite against those who wish to take our rights away. Using the 17th as a time to push a violent political agenda is not condoned. It is the antithesis of what this rally is about. It's about coming together peacefully, armed, and standing together as Americans. Being peacefully armed is not about projecting or even inciting violence. On the contrary, being armed will be a deterrence against those who use violence or force against peaceful demonstrators.
That's the government.
So it sounds like a lot like this not the last caller, but a previous caller that we had here tonight who was talking about just sort of generally talking about, bringing people together, healing, America, saving the nation, all these sort of talking points about how important America is. And I'm sorry, it's just abject failure. If I go to this thing, I'm bringing secession flyers.
Yeah, and but hey, they're pledged to nonviolence, so they probably won't do us any harm. I'll be out there with my agenda is remain secession because, ironically enough, I think it's the only issue that people can truly unify on.
That's true.
Nationally. because it means we don't have to agree on anything else.
Right. And this just has a little bit more, but this next part is bolded and in a different color. It says, if you can carry legally, you should carry. If you wish to be unarmed, come unarmed. So they're specifically calling for people to be armed at this particular showing.
God, I wish I could. It's killing me.
Peacefully assemble at your state capitals while observing local laws and ordinances. Do not allow January 6th to repeat. This is not a mega march. Do not allow political identity to lay claim or hijack the message of the rally. The original message is still clear. Stand together, shoulder to shoulder, armed or unarmed, united. We the people are fed up. We the people are the, all caps, United States of America.
Down with the USA.
Yep. Make America states again.
Yep. I like that. That's a good one.
It's my favorite slogan.
Did somebody make a hat of that yet? A red hat?
No. I haven't heard anybody say it but me, and it's just so obvious.
Ironically, the
You want to make a
acronym-
hat of it? We'll make $1 million, maybe.
Ironically, the acronym is MASA.
Massa? Oh, God.
Yes, Massa.
I don't know if I like the sound of that.
Yes, Massa. Make America
No,
states
stop
again.
that. Stop.
The United States as a concept, was a fun little idea.
It's over. People just don't realize it yet.
Yeah. It's only been 200 years, so I believe the United
That's
States...
a long run. It's time. It's past time.
Right, but what I'm saying is, in the course of history, that's a pretty young country still.
I mean,
No, it's
if they
actually pretty
could
old.
get federalism going again, that would be fine, because then all the states could do things their own way. But they're not going to do that.
Yeah, it was a nice thought. The experiment is over. It did not work. And now you have one of the most heinous, murderous governments of all time. More Free Talk Live coming up.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path, beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way.
Love as your guide.
And liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Local.bitcoin.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
And I was in a rented Stingray, and it was overheating. So I pulled into the Shell station. They said I'd blown a seal. I said, fix the damn thing and leave my private life out of it, okay, pal?
Yep, I love that. I love that.
Little Kippadata.
Yep. I walk through a wet dream.
Cruising through the Gulf Stream.
Yeah.
That's for all the Dr. Demento fans out there in listener land.
There are many demented.
This is Free Talk Live. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join the conversation. 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's me, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And I am really excited for ForkFest 2021. You can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival?
No,
not anymore.
Actually, no, they're both happening the same week.
We are co-located together again.
I was reluctant
I don't know how
to
things
announce
could be
it.
official with ForkFest. So
Well, I mean,
the question
the
is
other
whether
one.
the
Do we want to appoint a government for ForkFest so they can have official diplomatic relations with PorkFest?
That
or should,
just
should we
sounds all
just leave
very
it by?
crappy. That sounds all very crappy. Let's.
I think we're just going to show up and have a good time.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as the Porcupine Freedom Festival does not lock down the campground, ForkFest will occur as scheduled. And from what I understand, they will not be locking down the campground.
That is not their intention.
Killer. So that means no one is in charge, and it also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve.
No one. Did they fire me? I thought nobody was in charge.
No one is in charge, not nobody.
Oh, okay. Groovy. I'll take the week off then.
Nobody is not in charge. That means you could just have a good time, nobody.
Nice.
Yeah. Just reserve your camping RV site or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. I can't think of any place better to celebrate Independence Day than, around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. You can show up, party with us, relax, enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you are planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar now for June 28th through July 4th, 2021, and we'll see you at forkfest.party. Yeah.
Indeed.
And stuff.
Nice.
And junk and stuff. And stuff and junk. All right. I think I've had my fill of this announcement of these protests. I do find it interesting.
I think there's still going to be a good time, even though they're still slightly wrong-headed.
Oh, well, most protests are slightly wrong-headed, and that's why we need to have our people there to help them, have new ideas, like old ideas like secession, but new again. New for now.
Indeed.
And all that's old will be new again.
I do find it interesting that they are literally calling for people to be armed.
That's right.
At these protests.
Oh, it's what it's going to have to take.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about time, actually.
Yeah, I think we've all individually mentioned that we are surprised that something like that hasn't already occurred.
Yeah, well, the thing is, they should have done it in the 30s when they took the full automatics.
Yeah.
They should have done it, again and again. And, if it show up with a guillotine from time to time, it lets people know that,
Or maybe in, 1913?
Is limited.
Federal Reserve?
The creation of the Federal Reserve,
that would have been a good time.
Should have resulted in massive civil disobedience. FDR's theft of the gold. Oh, my God.
Yep. Moving off of the currency off the gold standard, all that stuff. And now, of course, as I mentioned on the way to break, the United States of America, for as young as it is, 200-ish years old, went from wanting to be the smallest government on planet Earth, in theory, right? That's kind of what they set out to do. They were like, let's do something nobody else has done. Let's have government's just going to do a couple of things, and that's it. And everybody else will be free to do whatever they want and, live however they want. And, we'll just have to tolerate each other and figure it out. We're people. We'll figure it out. And it went from that to the largest, most murderous regime on planet Earth.
I don't know about the most murderous.
Oh,
I think China probably beats us on numbers. But,
okay.
And you're talking about theory versus practice. In theory, there's no difference at all between theory and practice, but in practice, there always is.
Right. So, the only remaining, nuclear superpower, and I realize China has a bigger population than the United States. But
okay, both Russia and China are nuclear
China
armed.
is
Israel
nuclear
is nuclear armed.
Yes.
There are nuclear weapons
But
all
the
over
United
the
States of America is the largest one in the respect that it has bases everywhere.
Well, that is definitely
Everywhere.
true. 217 countries.
Everywhere.
217 countries,
So-
actually, which is not technically everywhere,
So
but it's close.
For all of you Star Wars fans out there, the United States is the empire.
Yes. The Republic fell.
We're not the Republic. We're not the
Empire
rebellion.
rose and freedom died to uproarious applause.
I'm half waiting for Biden to announce the construction of the Death Star because it'll, create so many new jobs for all the unemployed that they've put out of work with all these crazy lockdowns.
He's going to keep them busy building concentration camps first. He's got to get rid of the dissenters.
Yeah, I agree. There are many times throughout history that the state has endangered people, the public health specifically. And I have this bit from the Free Thought Project that I just want to remind people of as we go through this theater that's being put on regarding COVID. Due to COVID, I feel it's necessary to remind people
that the state doesn't always have your health in its interests.
Always have. So, Operation Sea Spray. You guys familiar with this?
No, what's that one?
It's a biological warfare experiment carried out by the United States Navy in the San Francisco Bay area in 1950. The Navy released clouds of contaminated bacteria, Bacteria serratia and Bacillus globigii, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, into a city of 775,000 inhabitants. The aim of this operation was to track the dispersal of biological agents in a major metropolitan area, as initially the Navy believed the bacteria was not harmful to humans.
If it wasn't for the government, who would spray us down with radioactive microorganisms. Nobody would do that without the government.
Is this why San Francisco is the way it is?
I don't know.
It's an interesting question.
I don't know, but residents began flooding hospitals, suffering from unknown adverse reactions ranging from minor to severe. At least one man is officially known to have died, and it has been noted the program likely permanently altered the microbial ecology of the area.
Is that why they crap in the streets?
Government.
Yeah, probably. We've got more of these coming up. Free Talk Live.
Moose is the German Shepherd, now 11, and he's been an amazing dog. Moose is so active and so alert and hasn't had any kind of health problems at all. He has a beautiful coat, and at 11, he'll still run and chase the ball. He has been on Dynavite since he's a puppy.
Dynavite for life.
Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it, and the itching and shedding down the road.
DINOVITE.com.
We tell anybody that has a dog, if there was something that you could do right from the beginning so that you don't have expensive veterinary bills, why would you not do it? Get the Dynavite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite from DINOVITE.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means, stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to MyMagicMud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. MyMagicMud.com, FTL20.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. It is Free Talk Live. We're into the third hour and have been for quite some time. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160. If you want to join in the conversation, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Lord Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
And it's Ian.
And nobody.
And I want to take this moment to thank Aaron for being a platinum-level amplifier. That means Aaron gives $10?
25 at least.
25?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't even know we had a platinum.
Platinum. Aaron, you are a platinum amplifier. We thank you. If you don't know what an amplifier is, please head over to amp.freetalklive.com where you can find out what it takes to be an amplifier and what sort of perks you get. We only ask for a contribution of $5, but you can give more, obviously. There are different levels. Again, Aaron is a platinum amplifier, so he gives at least $25. And what that money goes to is it goes exclusively to get Free Talk Live onto more radio stations. We're currently on 185 or so.
Thereabouts.
We could be on 200. We could be on 250. It's all up to you. If you enjoy the program, you enjoy the personalities that we have here on Free Talk Live, you enjoy the content, please consider amplifying to help spread the message of freedom. And again, thank you to Aaron. We'll talk more about some of the horrendous things that government has done to its people. But first, let's go to David in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, the Matrix. I wanted to do as Ian suggested and post information on your Matrix chat about so that people, if they want to, can bring their popcorn and sit in the courtroom on this Friday at 8:30 a.m. via the telephone. And but I've tried multiple times and I'm unable to make the Matrix thing work for myself, and I haven't figured out why. So do Ian, do you have an alternative, like me emailing or telling you how to access the information all on your own?
Why don't you drop me a email at nobody@electnobody.com, and I'll see if I can help you get on the Matrix, because the Matrix is real.
I'm in the Matrix right now. I just can't get on the other Matrix, which is within the Matrix.
That sounds very confusing. Yeah, we don't have time to really do tech support on the air, but basically there's step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. If you did follow those step-by-step and they failed somewhere, definitely let us know offline where those failed, and we will take a look at it for you.
Yeah, I tried multiple times. I followed the directions, and the directions didn't work for me. And I think it's going to be a fatal.
Drop me a mail.
Yep. What was the address again? Nobody.
Nobody@electnobody.com.
No, nobody. Okay, I'll email you right now.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for the call, David. So let's move on to another one on this list of things that government has done to its people. We've got Operation.
Wait, what do you mean its people? I don't belong to it.
Well, it has done to people.
I'm my people. I'm my person because I only have one.
How about Operation Large Area Coverage? Some genius came up with this name. This was a mass biological attack simulation carried out by the United States Army Chemical Corps from 1957 to 1958. Throughout the American Midwest, from the Gulf of Mexico into Canada, it covered thousands of square miles. The goal of the experiment was to test dispersal patterns of biological agents and involved releasing compounds known to be radioactive and carcinogenic, primarily zinc, cadmium sulfide, amongst other harmful bacteria.
We're so terrified that we're going to be attacked with biological weapons, we're going to attack ourselves with biological weapons to find out what happened.
Oh, this was more than 50 years ago. Our government would never do anything like this now.
Well, tens of thousands of Americans were unknowingly exposed to these compounds. Two cities where the tests were concentrated, St. Louis, Missouri, and Corpus Christi, Texas, received such heavy plumes of the contaminated aerosols, they created an artificial overcast over the cities, to the point which military officials deceptively informed the localities that they were merely conducting smokescreen tests.
But that was just a smokescreen.
To this day, St. Louis residents suffer from adverse health effects allegedly attributed to the experiments they were subjected to.
But, Captain, our military would never take our guns.
See, in order to protect you, they have to first make you very, very sick and possibly kill you and your family members, because it's all about keeping you safe.
We had to burn the village in order to save it.
Mm-hmm.
You guys sound like the government.
Don't forget, you have to pay for it, too.
We're working on it. We're doing our best. It's just hard to sound that evil without, being evil.
You guys have probably heard of this next one, Project MK Ultra.
I have
Oh,
heard of that,
yeah.
Can you ad-lib what it is? Nobody?
MK Ultra is where they scooped up a bunch of people and gave them a bunch of drugs, which sounds like a great weekend, but they didn't know what they were taking. They didn't agree to it, and they manipulated them into having sex with prostitutes and each other and doing all kinds of things that they never would have done if they hadn't been fed a bunch of drugs against their will.
Wasn't it all about, brainwashing, too?
Yes, it was all about learning how to brainwash people.
I didn't know this, that there were several various sub-programs within the project that spanned the course of nearly 2 decades. Some of the names being MK Naomi, MK Often, MK Search, MK Delta, and Artichoke, just to name a few. The operations had various goals.
MK Ultra Artichoke or just Artichoke?
Just Artichoke, apparently.
Why didn't that get an MK?
I don't know.
I'm really curious as to what made that one special.
Probably one of the guys making up the names got infected with whatever they were giving these folks and was like, we'll just call it Artichoke.
There you go.
That's my guess. The operations had various goals and aims ranging from behavioral modification to psychological manipulation to the development of biological and chemical weapons and much, much more.
They only had one goal, really, total control. Because the government only has one goal, total control.
Yeah. Through the duration, the CIA relied heavily on both willing and unwilling participants who were subjected to various methodologies, including but not limited to psychological abuse, electroshock, physical torture, and being subjected to mind-altering drugs. At least one.
I didn't know about all of that.
Or you might have signed up?
Well, the torture doesn't make it sound better.
That's true, it doesn't. At least one death can be attributed to the program. Dr. Frank Olson, who committed suicide by jumping through the window of a high-rise building while on a CIA-induced overdose of LSD.
Isn't that special? Okay, let's go over the 3 rules of tripping just one more time.
It doesn't hurt.
Rule number 1, cars are real. Rule number 2, you can't fly. And rule number 3, don't touch fire, no matter what color it is.
Those are good rules.
It's true. Words to live by.
So, you're saying, Ian, most of these happened in the past. There's 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Well, everything we talk about happened in the past. If it hadn't happened yet, we wouldn't be able to talk about it.
Yeah, but this is 2 generations ago. I mean, our government loves us now. They really care. They would never do anything like this.
Well, this doesn't seem to be the case either. As noted in previous TFTP articles, that's the Free Thought Project. A recent study from 2018 found that these dismal practices are indeed being allowed to continue. While the idea that the U.S. government would willingly poison its own citizens may seem shocking to some, it's not unprecedented. Earlier this year, a study found that the Pentagon has contaminated more than 40,000 sites across the United States, exposing hundreds and thousands of Americans to dangerous chemicals.
So does that mean that when they infect us with fake diseases, it's actually like them being on their best behavior?
Maybe. The investigation, which was conducted by ProPublica and Vox, revealed that by testing and disposing of deadly chemical weapons in the United States, the Pentagon has poisoned drinking water supplies, rendered millions of acres of land unsafe or unusable, and jeopardized the health of often unwitting Americans.
You gotta love your country to kill that many of your countrymen.
I've had enough. Have you?
I've had enough before
Free Talk
I even
Live.
knew.
More coming up.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization. When one parent says no, they'll ask the other. And Cohen says children persist and persevere. And like smart negotiators of all ages, kids know that no is an opening bargaining position. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Final segments of the Monday night edition of Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever's on your mind.
I'm going to miss you guys.
Well, luckily for you, Free Talk Live is on 7 days a week, so you can catch myself or Ian or any of the other hosts between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 nights a week. And you'll be back.
Can I catch you outside?
Cash me outside?
Cash you outside?
I don't need cashed out.
Okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, I'll be outside when I walk outside to leave.
Oh,
so
groovy.
There's that. In the studio tonight, it's me, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the medically harmful things that government has done to people in its time.
Surgeon General's warning, government may be harmful to your health.
Yeah, I just want to say that it's things like this that make me, people who are like, I'm totally not getting the vaccine, make me go, yeah, I don't blame you.
And people don't understand
Totally don't blame you.
why we need AR-15s. This is why we need AR-15s.
But first, let's go to, we've got Wayne calling from Indiana. Wayne,
Wayne's World, excellent. Party time.
Hello, my brothers. How you doing tonight?
We're good. You are on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
I was just wondering why no one's talking about that Nashville bomb that the terrorists did make. Terrorists don't make bombs that not kill people.
We talked about it on the 25th when it happened.
Yeah, we did talk about it. And yeah, I wouldn't call the guy necessarily a terrorist. I don't, it looks like there was no great purpose behind what he did that would have excused him doing a bunch of property damage. But, I wouldn't call him a terrorist.
Go ahead.
It took out AT&T and T-Mobile servers along the whole United States for 3 days.
That's supposed to be good?
It didn't change anything.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that because I tried calling one of the radio stations we're on the next week, actually 2 weeks later, and it just went straight to voicemail, or I think it was actually the line was disconnected or something. I'm like, oh no, did they close? What happened to the station? The station was actually in Alabama, but close enough to whatever center this was in Nashville, I suppose, to be serviced by them. And I sent an email to the program director. They're like, hey, you guys okay? Can't get through on your business line. And he said, oh, yeah, somebody bombed AT&T, and so we don't have any phone service now. So, yeah, congratulations. That guy, took out, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands or if not millions of people's phone service. Real striking a real blow there.
Yeah, if you're going to stick it to the man, stick it to the man. A top secret place
that Trump didn't even know about. And the terrorists knew it was top secret.
That wasn't top secret. It was in a known AT&T building.
Yeah, but they did not know all them servers were hid there. That was for AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon.
Well,
it did the entire country.
This is
a
called.
top secret
No, it wasn't. No, it's not top secret.
But was he at war with phone service? What was the purpose of doing this? Was he at war with calling grandma?
It didn't totally shut down AT&T. It totally shut down Verizon and T-Mobile. I about went to jail arguing with the T-Mobile
No, it
lady.
didn't. It was AT&T.
It was all regional,
Why didn't
too.
he want people to talk to each other?
He was supposedly anti-5G.
The new Windows 10 doesn't transfer data off your phone onto the computer. You got to go buy a $50 program. They don't want that. They want people to be stupid. That's why they started running the schools 20 years ago.
Well, that's true, but it was actually more than 100.
Longer than that ago. But yeah, you are right that they're dumbing us down. It's just, I think, blowing up a bunch of people's phone service is probably, an instance of that, being dumb.
Yeah.
Well,
now if he'd stopped the government in its tracks, I'd be proud of the guy.
Yeah. So just for everybody's knowledge, these buildings where these telephone companies hold their servers, they're called co-locations. And it's where multiple companies will have, and it was more than just AT&T and Verizon. There were several other, there's communications companies you've never heard of that have gear and racks of gear in there and network connections and all that stuff. The thing about these buildings is that there's many of them. They're all built for redundancy so that if something happens at one of these buildings, all of the traffic fails over to other buildings.
Well, that didn't happen.
That's all managed by the Department of Redundancy Department.
That one was the biggest. That was the biggest basic one in the country. It took that thing out for 3 days.
Except it didn't take everything
out. They hit the major
out.
spot when they hit that. Terrorists didn't know that was there. The government
You're repeating
did it.
yourself now. Thank you for the call.
It didn't have any effect except to make people not able to call mom.
Yeah. It definitely didn't
I think people should call mom if they want to call mom. I'm cool with that.
It definitely didn't take everything out. It took out AT&T's services for that region.
Not all of them.
Well, to paraphrase Cassius Clay or Muhammad Ali, AT&T never locked me up for weed.
That's true.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I understand why people don't like big corporations. I'm not a fan of them either. But unfortunately, there is no small company that's offering cell phone service. This goes back to a discussion we had earlier in the show tonight.
Yeah.
You can't just sign up with some mom and pop operation to have yourself a cell phone. And if you want to have that technology, unfortunately, you have basically the big three.
Well, the math of it pretty much says you got to sell a lot of cell phones before you can put a satellite into space to, get them all talking to each other.
Yeah, that's accurate. Very much so.
Well, in theory, you could probably route the calls over the internet, but you wouldn't need
could.
a satellite.
You could do towers.
Everything routes over the internet now. I mean, except for POTS lines, except for copper.
Sure.
Yeah.
So.
But there are satellites that are transmitting data
That's
for
true,
various
yes.
different communication
Yeah,
services
absolutely.
still.
Absolutely. So it goes up at one point, from one of these colos, goes to the satellite, and it comes down in another city.
But yeah, even
at
many
another colo, and
many
then reroutes.
islands have internet connections now, and they're not satellite; they're actually underwater cables.
Yeah, they got the giant cables that they drag across the ocean floor from, land to give them hardwire access.
But do they have the bandwidth? Bandwidth? We don't need no stinking bandwidth.
It's known as big pipe. Big pipe.
Big pipe.
Yes, laying big pipe. I know. It's not what you think it is. It means putting fiber optic from, across the ocean to some other place
what it means.
on the other side of the ocean.
We knew a guy in Free State. There was a Free Stater who did that job.
Laying big pipe.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really?
Yep.
Was that Max? Mad Max?
No, he was a dude that lived up north. He lived in the North Country and ran a vape shop.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
We've only got a couple of minutes. I want to cover just one more bit.
Pipes, and when he wasn't doing that, he laid pipes.
There you go.
One more thing. In 2000, the Department of Defense became required to begin declassifying the documents of the project. We'll tell you about the project. These tests consisted of exposing approximately 6,000 of their fighting men to numerous pathogens via released aerosols, including
Support
sarin
our
gas.
troops.
This included sarin gas and VX, two of the most dangerous neurological agents known today. Despite numerous veterans filing complaints about the negative health effects they have suffered since, including some developing cancer, the Department of Veterans Affairs still asserts, quote, there is no clear evidence of specific long-term health problems associated with participation in Project SHAD.
So they're basically saying
Project
we're not going to
SHAD.
Oh, okay. I
Shipboard
was going to say, because they really did shag those soldiers.
SHAD, also known as Project 112, Shipboard Hazard and
What
Defense.
did you say?
Project 112, also known as SHAD, Shipboard Hazard
ship. Okay.
and Defense. From 1962 to
That's
1973.
horrendous. I'm almost speechless.
So
I'm as close as I ever get to it.
What the Veteran Affairs is saying there is that they will not cover the medication, right? By saying that there's no evidence.
Right. They don't want to pay for the damage they did.
Well, so what they're doing is
because that wouldn't be supporting
Isn't
our
that
troops.
what they're saying there?
The
Yes.
VA does things where they won't admit that anything is the fault of the military, but
That's 'cause they don't wanna cover it.
But they will treat.
Oh, really?
The veteran, yeah. It's been done since the Vietnam era. Agent Orange, stuff like that.
Agent
right?
Orange, they didn't treat for a long time. And they didn't give disability benefits as a result because they still say that it wasn't a combat-related thing. So I don't like love soldiers over and above people in any other line of work, but any employer engaging in that sort of behavior should be taken out and shot.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't join the military, kids.
No, do not.
If they spray you down with Agent Orange, you're gonna have a bad time.
Although, maybe that should have been Trump's nickname, Agent Orange.
It's a good name for him.
We are out of time. Go to freetalklive.com for our archives. Tune in tomorrow night, 7 to 10 p.m. Thanks. Peace.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new